Hi everyone, Brenda Gustin here, and I wanted to show you a little bit about the media that we use for growing bacteria and fungi in the microbiology lab. First of all, I have here what we would call a broth tube. So I have a test tube and it has sterile media in it. This type of media happens to be what we call nutrient broth. And right here is a container of nutrient broth. It's just a powder, and the ingredients say it contains beef extract and pancreatic digestive gelatin. So it's got a lot of organic molecules that bacteria grow well on. And when you add water to this and put it in tubes and sterilize them, you'll get what we call nutrient broth. And when we use nutrient broth, we generally use it if I'm going to grow some bacteria in a short period of time, usually overnight, and I'll inoculate it. You'll see in another lab how to do that, and bacteria will grow in here, and I'll have some fresh growing bacteria the next day. You'll know that there's bacteria in here when it starts looking cloudy. So uninoculated nutrient broth will be nice and clear like this, but as bacteria start to grow, it gets more and more cloudy. So nutrient broth is a great way to grow a little bit of bacteria over a short period of time. If you want to save your bacteria a little bit longer, you might consider adding some agar to your nutrient broth. And at that point, we would call it nutrient agar. So remember, agar is a solidifying agent. It's an extract from some kinds of algae, and you can heat it up and sterilize it, and it liquefies, but once it cools to room temperature, it becomes solid. And so the liquid form, sometimes we pour them into screw cap test tubes, and we cool them kind of on a slant. So we'll have special racks that kind of cool at an angle like that, and the agar slants will end up looking like this. And so there's a solid medium in there, and I have a nice slanted surface. And so what you can do is you can take some of your bacteria, streak it onto the surface of that agar, and store it for a little bit longer period of time, because this liquid's going to dry up. Whereas if I grow bacteria on the surface of this slant, I can grow it overnight, and then I can tighten the lid and put it in the refrigerator, and it lasts generally up to a month or longer. So agar slants are a really nice way to save cultures for longer periods of time than broth cultures. The third one that I have here is what I would call an agar plate. Now, an agar plate starts off with an empty dish called a petri dish or a petri plate. A petri plate was invented by a guy named Petrie in the golden age of microbiology, and it was designed to be able to spread out bacteria in order to try to separate out different kinds. So we needed more surface area. So petri plates have become a really standard tool in the microbiology lab. Originally, people used glass petri plates. More commonly today, like everything, we use plastic ones that when you purchase them, they come pre-sterilized. So this is free of microorganisms, and what I can do is I can make some of this nutrient agar, sterilize it, and pour it into the petri plate, and then let it cool, and I'll end up with an agar plate. So this one, the media in here happens to be nutrient agar. The advantage to using a nutrient agar plate is that it has more surface area, and so I can spread my bacteria out and possibly separate out different kinds of bacteria. When bacteria are growing in a nutrient broth, they're all mixed together. So if you have more than one kind, they'll just all be in a mixture like this. On a petri dish, on an agar plate, you can spread out your bacteria, and we can separate out different kinds of bacteria. And again, you'll learn about that in another lab. There's more kinds of media than just nutrient agar and nutrient broth. Here's an example of an agar plate that's made of something called EMB agar, also called eosin methylene blue agar. So lots of different kinds of media for growing bacteria under all different kinds of conditions. So hopefully that gave you a little rundown on why we would use different kinds of media.